Hello dear students, this is Anil Patni from Department of Microbiology and Biotechnology, Sirsha Institute of Sciences, run by Ronak Foundation and affiliated with Gujarat University. Today we are going to study a criteria for growth measurement, that is a topic from Unit 4 Microbial Growth. So let us have a look on how we can measure a growth. So here we are starting with measurement of bacterial growth. There are many ways to measure microbial growth and to determine that growth rates and growth time, or else we can say generation times. So either by population number and or by cell mass they can be studied. So here determination of cell number and determination of cell mass are majorly studied for bacterial growth. So here most commonly studied techniques for determining population size are examined, and the advantages and disadvantages of each techniques are going to be studied. See, we know that not every or not each techniques are perfect. There are always some pros and cons of each techniques. So the most appropriate technique is the experimental situation of our laboratory availabilities. So first let us start with determination of cell number. So direct measurement of cell numbers contains various methods including microbial counts, viable count and electronic count. So these three is major methods. Now in microbial count there are two methods, that is stained smear technique and chamber slide method. In viable counts we already know the pore plate method, streak plate method, so they are included in viable count, and membrane filter technique is also included in viable count, and the last one is electronic count. So each one is we are going to study in detail. So in the microbial count there are various methods listed in the earlier slide. So the microscopy, electronic particle counter, these two are direct methods, and the colony count, that is viable count, that is indirect method of cell number count. So in stained smear technique we already performed different staining method in semester 1 and 2, and you already have a practice for how to stain organism and how are you going to observe under the microscope. So this method involves preparation of smear from the given sample or a suspension or any sample. It can be anything, a water sample or a milk sample, curd sample, soil sample, water sample. It could be anything. From the sample, smear is prepared accurately by placing 0.01 ml of volume on the cleaned slide. After that, by using appropriate stain, you have to stain that smear, so that by using the different stain you can stain the organism present into the sample. After staining the organism and the smear and drying the slide well, you can easily observe under the microscope that whether which type of organisms are present and in how much amount. You can also count the cell number on the slide, that in which what number organisms are present on that particular smear. So this method have a limitation that they cannot give you a accurate counting of the sample. The next method is chamber slide method. This approach is easy, inexpensive and relatively quick. It also gives information about the size and morphology of the microorganism. So basically, counting chambers consist of specifically designed slide and cover slip. The space between the slide and cover slip creates a chamber of a known depth, that is 0.1 mm. As shown in the figure, on the bottom of the chamber is an etched grid that facilitates counting the cells. There are mainly two types of different chambers available. The first one is Petrop-Hauser chamber. The other one is hemocytometer, that you already know, that is Neuber's chamber. So the two different types, in first chamber, that is Petrov chamber. See, this is a Petrov chamber. In that there are 25 parts, 5 horizontal and 5 vertical. Likewise, there are total 25 squares, and in each square there are 16 squares. So you can count organisms easily. And in the Neuber's chamber, see, this is a Neuber's chamber. You already know how it works, how we can operate the Neuber's chamber. So basically, between the cover slip and slide, you have to load a liquid sample into the chamber, and afterwards you can put it under the microscope and calculate the organism and calculate the cell accordingly. So this is a general flow chart that how you can operate Neuber's chamber and how you can work with it. So as shown in the figure and as shown in the earlier figure, the smallest chamber has the square area of 1 by 400 mm square. When cover slip is placed, the chamber has a depth of 0.1 mm. Hence, each chamber will have a volume of 1 by 4000 cmm. Now, what is cmm? That is cubic centimeter. So, when the suspension from the specimen is placed between the slide and cover slip by capillary action, so you can introduce your sample with the help of pipette or a micropipette. All the chamber will be filled. Organisms from all the chambers are counted directly under the microscope. The average count of bacteria per chamber will indicate number of bacteria present into the 1 by 4000 cmm. So, with the help of these counted cells, we can easily calculate from this number that in how much amount in our sample organisms are present. Now, this is some pros and cons of microscopic count. Whenever we use the slide method or a chamber method, both have some pros and cons. So these methods are economically very feasible method, and very easy to perform and fast method. Even we can also study some additional information regarding their morphology, group arrangements, size, shape, gram reaction or other characteristics. So these are two benefits of the microscopic count. But the major disadvantage, or we can say the major limitation, is many times non-living cells or dust particles or soil particles are counted as a organism. So we cannot easily differentiate a living cell or a dust particle and an organism. This cannot be happen in this method. So non-living cells may not be significant in many instances. Counting of soil or dust particle will give erroneous information about the actual number of organisms present in the suspension. So more or less up to the 5 to 10% it gives a false positive result. Like we think of this is an organism, but instead of that it might be a soil particle or any dust particle or any waste particle. So it gives sometimes a false positive result. So this is a major limitation or major disadvantage of this microscopic method. So the another method for direct cell number count, that is electronic enumeration of cell number. So in this, microorganisms also can be directly counted with electronic counter such as the culture counter. In the culture counter, a microbial suspension is forced through a small hole. Electrical current flows through the hole and electrodes placed on both sides of the hole measure electrical resistance. Every time a microbial cell passes through a hole, electrical resistance increases and the cell number is counted. So, see, this is a schematic diagram of electronic counter. So in this you can observe that, see, these are two rods, the one and the other one. This is a small capillary tube with a small orifice, and this portion is electronic counter. So the number is observed on this screen. This is a flow of growth. So in this direction, flow of growth is going to one chamber from the another chamber. So electronic counter method determining bacterial cell number. In that, flow of the growth medium through a tube is allowed through a narrow capillary tube with a small orifice. Both ends of the tube are connected to electronic circuit through two electrodes. You can observe in the diagram that there are two electrodes present. Through the orifice, only one cell is able to pass at a time. Passage of cell through orifice causes momentary drop in conductivity, which gives electronic pulse to be counted. So likewise, we can count a cell number from the sample by this method. So the main limitation, or we can say main disadvantage of this electronic count method is it cannot distinguish between dead and living organism as well as dust particle. So each and every particle can give rise to pulse to be counted as the organisms. And sometimes what happens that organisms clumps together and become a larger particle size and it plugged into the orifice, so it cannot easily pass through orifice and it blocks the orifice, so organism cannot pass through that orifice and it gets stuck into it. So these two are major limitations of this electronic count method. Now, so on the alternative of this, or we can also say the other method, that is flow cytometry. It is increasingly being used to directly count microbes and to gain detailed information about them. A flow cytometer creates a stream of cells so narrow that one cell at a time passes through a beam of laser light. As each cell passes through the beam, the light is scattered. Scattered light is detected by the flow cytometer. Because cells are separated in space, each light scattering event is detected independently. Thus, the number of light scattering events represents the number of cells in the sample. So, cells of differing size, internal complexity and other characteristics within a population can also be counted. This usually involves the use of fluorescence dyes or fluorescently labeled antibodies. This more sophisticated use of flow cytometry can provide valuable information about characteristics of the population of cell. So, with the limitation of electronic count method, we can also use flow cytometry, but it is very economically costly method. So, instead of use fluorocytometry, we can go through electronic count method, but for your knowledge, the flow cytometry is much accurate among these all methods. Now let us come to the another method, that is Weibull count. So as I already earlier told you that this is indirect method of cell number count, because in this we are not directly introduce sample into the method like earlier as in staining method or chamber method. We directly introduce a suspension or a sample into the chamber or onto a slide and we directly observe under the microscope and we come to the conclusion. But in Weibull count we have to introduce our sample onto the media and allow it to grow for a specific period of time, and afterwards we come to know the result. So basically it is a indirect method of cell number count. So any plating method is start with a serial dilution method. You already perform a serial dilution for several times and know the concept behind the serial dilution. So basically it is for decreasing the load, microbial load in actual sample. So whenever sample have a higher microbial load, we undergoes with the serial dilution. In that we serially diluted the original solution, or we can say original sample. So as shown in the figure, you can see that this is a original sample. Now these all tubes having a 9 ml of sterile distilled water. So as we are going to dilute original sample, so from the original sample we are going to add 1 ml of sample into the 9 ml of distilled water. Now the next step is from this tube we are again take 1 ml of sample and transfer into the another tube. So this is become a 10 raised to minus 2 dilution. Now the next, from this tube again we are going to take 1 ml of sample and transfer it into the another tube, and so on. So again this and this. So likewise we can easily prepare a dilution of the original sample. So we can decrease the microbial load from the original sample. Now after the preparation of the dilutions, we have to take a 0.1 ml of suspension, add into a nutrient medium plate, and with the help of plating method, that can be a pour plate method or a spread plate method, we inoculate that 0.1 ml of sample into a plate, and after a incubation period of time we can observe the plates and conclude or observe our results. So now several plating methods can be used to determine the number of viable microbes in the sample. So these are referred to as a viable count method or a plate count method, because they count only those cells that are able to reproduce when cultured. So there are two commonly used procedures are used, that is spread plate technique and the pour plate techniques. Usually when using these methods to determine population size, the sample should yield between 50 to 250 colonies or else 30 to 300 colonies per plate for accurate counting. Because if plate having more than 250 or 300 colonies, it cannot be counted properly. Now once the number of colony is known, the original number of viable microorganism in the sample can be calculated from the number and the sample dilution. In earlier slide, I mentioned the formula of calculation of the cell. Now in this method, it is not possible to be certain that each colony arose from an individual cell. So the results are often expressed in the term of colony forming unit, because on the plate they form a colony, not individual cells are grown. So we can express the result in a term of colony forming unit, that is CFU, rather than the number of microorganisms. So the methodology behind the pour plate method and the spread plate method. So as shown in the diagram, and you already performed as well in the earlier semesters both the method. So in the pour plate method, first we inoculate our suspension, that is our sample that to be studied. So we add that sample into the media and mix it well and then pour into the plate, right? And after that we put it into the incubator, and the next day or after the incubation period of time, we can observe the colonies on the media. So in pore plate technique, we observe the growth inside or under the medium. We cannot observe the colony on the medium. See, you can see that the colonies are on the bottom surface. But in spread plate technique, we know that, and we do that also, that first we prepare a plate. As you know, first we prepare a plate, then inoculate a bacterial sample into the plate with the help of sterile pipette. Afterwards, by the use of sterile spreader, we spread that inoculum into the plate vigorously. Like each and every part of plate is properly sprayed with the help of spreader, and the inoculum that we added, that is 0.1 ml, that inoculum is properly spreaded and evenly spreaded into the whole plate. Afterwards, we inoculate the plate into the incubator for a specific period of time, and after the incubation period of time, we can observe that into the spread plate method, we observe colony on the medium. See, this is the enlarged image, and you already observed it, I guess, that in spread plate technique, the colonies appear on the medium, not on the bottom side but on the front side. So likewise, these two methods are mainly used for the viable count of the organisms, that is indirect method. Now let us come to some advantages of viable count method. So as shown in this slide, that, and we also know some reasons of the viable count and how it is helpful and easy for us, that the major advantage or major benefit of the viable count method is only living organisms present in the sample can show the result. So the earlier in smear staining technique or chamber technique, the false positive result, that may be dead particle, dead cell or dust particle, can also be counted as an organism. So likewise, in this method, this false positive result cannot be observed. Only living organisms are observed or counted into the viable count method. This is highly sensitive method, that even one cell of organism can make a colony. So that have a more significant value. It is also helps to study a growth pattern of organism, like in which manner they grow, their colony characteristics, like the how they form a colony, which type of colony they form. These all characteristics we can also study by the viable count method. Now there are some disadvantages of the viable count method. However, several times 2 or more organisms may form one colony if the culture specimen possesses clumps of cells, or 2 or more cells happens to settle at one point in the agar plate. This may reduce actual count of viable organisms. This method is more expensive, time consuming as well as laborious. This is because the need for the use of costly media for cultivation, longer period of incubation time, sometimes some organism may take 7 days or 8 days for the grow, and need to take great care while preparing dilutions, pouring and maintenance of aseptic condition while pour plating or spreading and other methods. And the major disadvantage is all the organism into the sample are not grown into the same medium. For example, in the sample there are more than one organisms are present. Like more than 100 and thousands organisms are present, but not each and every organism can grow into the same medium, because each organism have different nutrient requirements. So we cannot grow all organisms, all organisms present into the sample, we cannot grow onto the same media. So if enumeration is done from natural specimen, it may contain various type of bacteria. They may differ in their requirement of nutrient as well as optimum growth conditions such as pH, temperature, oxygen, etc. So the medium and condition employed during incubation may not satisfy requirement of growth for such bacteria. Hence, they may fail from growing and hence escape the except the counting. As we also know that some organisms are anaerobic also, so we cannot grow aerobic and anaerobic organisms on the same media, so that is also a major problem while using this viable count method. So with compared to viable count and microscopic count is more accurate than the viable count because of these different reasons. Let us come to the very useful method, that is membrane filter technique into the cell count. So it is useful when sample having very less amount of microbial load, and in that, as you can see into the diagram, that there are two bottles and between that filter is placed. That filter is having a pore size of 0.45 micrometer. So it is a pore size that is less than a bacterial size. So the two bottles, the one is on the upper side and the second one is into in the bottom side, and between that a membrane, or we can say the filter, is placed. Now it is placed in the manner that in the upper bottle sample is placed. The sample which we are going to examine, or the sample in which we are going to study that how much amount of microorganisms are present into that sample is placed into the upper side. So from the filter, the sample is come down into the bottom bottle, and the organisms present into that sample are stuck into that filter because their pore size is smaller than the organism size, so they can easily stuck into the filter pores. Now that filter is placed into the plate. The plate having sterile nutrient medium. So the filter is placed into the plate, and after that it is incubated for the several period of time, like 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours or any we need. So after the incubation period of time, we can observe the colonies on the medium. See, in this diagram you can see these green color colonies, that is for example only, but these colonies are observed. So these colonies are what? The microorganisms stuck into the filter, and that filter we placed onto the plate, and that organism grow on the medium. So basically these typical colonies are from the sample only. So likewise, with the help of membrane filter technique, we can examine that how much amount of organisms or which type of organisms are present into that sample, and they can counted easily. So these are the methods for determining cell numbers, that direct methods and indirect method, that is microbial count, viable count, membrane filter techniques, electronic count, etc. So in the next session we are going to study determining the cell mass and measurement of cell activity, and how we obtain a continuous growth and a synchronous growth, and methods used for that. So thank you very much for hearing me out, and if you have any query regarding this topic, you can mail me anytime. Thank you so much.